In the today's class, we are going to discuss about the second part of Unit 6, that is Android software platform. Under this concept, you need to talk about Android architecture, operating system services, Android runtime, application development, application structure, and application process management. Okay. Under that, the first topic is Android architecture. Under the Android architecture, we have a Linux kernel, native libraries, Android runtime, application framework, and applications. So all these five are the parts of Android architecture. Okay. Let me show you the diagram. So this is the diagram. As I said to you earlier, the architecture consists of total 5 components. The first one is Linux kernel, and the second one is native libraries or platform libraries. And the third one is Android runtime. Fourth one is application framework or Android framework. And the last one is applications. Okay. So let me start with the bottom layer of the architecture, that is Linux kernel. So Linux kernel is heart of the Android architecture that exists at the root of Android architecture. As you observe here, follow the cursor. Where it appears, the Linux kernel appears at the root of the Android architecture. That is, it is the bottom layer of the architecture. So what is the responsibility of Linux kernel? So the Linux kernel is responsible for, if you observe this diagram, all these are the responsibilities of Linux kernel. Linux kernel is the heart of the Android architecture and it is at the bottom or root of the architecture. So what are the responsibilities of Linux kernel? The responsibility of Linux kernel is all these things: device drivers, power management, memory management, device management, and resource access, everything. So all those are comes under the responsibilities of Linux kernel. Okay. And next, coming to the platform libraries or native libraries and Android runtime. So on the top of the Linux kernel, the platform libraries or native libraries are available. So in this, if you observe here, all these are the libraries. Okay. Media, graphics, SQLite, OpenGL, SSL, FreeType, all these are the native libraries. Right? What are the purpose of all these things? Here, if you observe here, SQLite is for database and FreeType is for font support. Such as media is for playing and recording the audio and video formats. And graphic is for graphical representations and graphical controls. Like that, SSL means secure socket layer. Each and every library has its own services, right? And coming to Android runtime, there are different core libraries and DVM. What is DVM? DVM means Dalvik Virtual Machine. DV, DVM. DVM means Dalvik, V means virtual, M means machine. So what the Android runtime consists of? It consists of Dalvik VM and next to core libraries. Here if you observe, what is the responsibility of DVM? What is the responsibility of DVM? DVM is works like or similar to the JVM. What is JVM? Java Virtual Machine. Okay. So like a JVM, DVM is working for a mobile devices, right? JVM is a Java virtual machine. It is for the desktop applications in order to develop desktop applications, not to support the desktop applications. So whereas DVM is for mobile devices. And moreover, DVM is for mobile devices, right? So that is the reason why it consumes very less memory and provides fast, fast performance. When compared to JVM, DVM is optimized for the mobile devices. So as it is for the mobile devices, DVM consumes very less memory and it is very fast in the performance, right? And next, coming to application framework or Android framework. On the top of native libraries and Android runtime, there is Android framework or application framework. Android framework includes Android APIs such as user interface, telephony, resources, locations, content providers, and package managers. Okay, so activity managers, notification manager. In addition to this, package managers, content providers, notification manager, all these things are available in the application framework. These application framework provide a lot of classes and interfaces for Android application development. So in order to support the Android application development, the application framework provides lots of classes and interfaces. By using those classes and interfaces, one can develop the Android applications. Okay, that is in order to support the Android application development. So this part, application framework, will provide a lot of classes as well as interfaces. And coming to the applications, applications is at the top of the Android architecture. So what are the applications usually we have? Home, contacts, camera, clock, gallery, and calendar. All these applications regularly what we are seeing in our daily routine in our mobile interface. So those are all applications available here. Home, gallery, clock, contacts, camera, calendar. So all these are the applications, mobile applications, which we regularly see in our mobile interface. Okay. So all these are the layers or parts or components of the Android architecture. Okay. So these are the 5 parts in Android architecture. Linux kernel. Linux kernel is the heart of the any operating system, right? The core functionalities will be provided by the kernel. And then native libraries, Android runtime, application framework, and then applications. Okay. So this is about Android architecture. This is the first concept. Under the Android software platform, the first concept is Android architecture. Okay. And next coming to operating system services. So what are the services provided by any operating system? So what are the services provided by any operating system? Right, let me. The second concept is operating system services. So far we discussed about Android architecture, and the next concept is or operating system services. So what are the services of operating system? We all know, right? Memory management, process management, device management or device driver management, and next network management, and next coming to process means we can even include thread management. Why? Because thread is a basic unit of CPU utilization. A process can have any number of threads. Earlier we have already discussed the same concept. Basic unit of CPU utilization is called a thread. A process can be divided into any number of threads, right? So the operating system is responsible for both process management as well as a thread management. And next, inter-process communication, security. Okay, whatever the resources provided by the one process, the other process should not access the resources which are already allocated to the some other process. For example, if you have allocated some memory, operating system allocated some memory to one process, that memory need to be utilized by that process only. The same memory locations are not at all used by the some other process which are in the system. Okay, like security, the operating system has to provide to the applications or the process which are running in a machine. Okay, so all these are the services. Not only these one, other thing also CPU scheduling. So all these are the services of operating system. Okay, so coming to our previous slide. So we are in the Android software platform. Follow the cursor, please. So this is the second part of your sixth unit. Under this, we have already completed, discussed Android architecture, and the next one operating system services. And the next concept what we are going to discuss is Android runtime. So this is the third concept what we are going to discuss. Android runtime. Right? So Android runtime so is a software platform. That means in the Android is the core part of the Android software platform is Android runtime. Android runtime is a core of software platform, Android software platform. In the Android software platform, the core part is Android runtime. So this Android runtime consists of two main concepts. What are those? I already told you when we discussed in the Android architecture. What are those? Core libraries and DVM. What is DVM? Dalvik Virtual Machine. So DVM is like JVM, Java Virtual Machine. DVM is works for mobile devices. Okay, so these are the two main concepts in Android runtime. Android runtime is a core part of Android software platform. So there are two components in the Android runtime. The first one is DVM and the second one is the core libraries. Okay. And then all the Java applications, all has to know one thing. So Android is developed by using Java. Android software is developed by using Java. So all these Java applications, whatever we are writing, those Java applications all will be converted into Dalvik executable. Are you got my point? So whatever the Java application we wrote, those Java applications are converted into Dalvik executable format. Dalvik executable format means those are converted into .exe format files. Okay. The translation of Java application file into a class file, usually done by the who will convert the Java files into the class files, .java files into class files. The Java compilers will convert. Okay. Once these class files, Java class files are converted into, how these class files are converted, as I already told you, all the Java applications will be converted into Dalvik executable files. That means Java.class files will be converted into .dex. Dex means Java files are converted into Dalvik executable files. That means .class files are converted into .dex. D means Dalvik executable files. Okay. By using which they are converting, who will take care of this conversion? By using DX tool. By using DX tool, the Java class files are converted into Dalvik executable files. Okay, where like in the where in the Java we have a Java bytecode. Okay, likewise a Dalvik virtual machine consists of a platform independent bytecode. Okay, that byte like a Java bytecode, Dalvik also having, DVM is also having its own bytecode. What it is called as, what it contains, Java dot class file consists of Java bytecode. Like that in the .dx files, what it contains? It contains Dalvik bytecode. So .java file is converted into .class file by using a Java compilers. Like that fashion, now we are going to convert these Java .class files into .ex, .dex. So we will convert, DX tool will convert. Okay. So what is DX? What type of data it have? Dalvik bytecode. Okay. So this is the executable file. Okay, if you run this one, the application will be, we execute this one, .dxe file we need to execute, we need to run .dx, right? This is about Android runtime. Okay. So follow the cursor. We have already completed Android architecture, and the next one is operating system services, and then Android runtime. So Android runtime means it is a core part of Android software platform. It contains two components. One is DVM and the second one is the core libraries. Okay. And the next concept is application development. Okay. Android usually is not considered as a application development platform. This implies that the development of the application is done at one place after the subsequent installation of Android platform for execution. Have you got my point? So Android is not considered as a application development platform. So we need to develop the applications at one place, and after that those applications has to be run subsequently after installing the Android platform for execution. Okay, so ideally Android has its own SDK. What is SDK? SDK means software development kit. By using this kit we can develop the applications. Okay, so the software development kit will provide us the tools as well as APIs. What is API? API means application programming interface. So by using this application programming interface and tools, we can develop the applications. By using these tools and APIs, we can develop the applications. After the once the application is developed, so we need to test and debug the application, right? So how can we test our applications? By using an emulator. Emulator is used to test and debug the application. Okay, once we have developed application by using this SDK and tools and APIs, so after developing the application, one has to test the application and debug the application. So whether it is working properly or not. So by using emulator, we can test and debug the applications. So if you need to have any idea about this application development and you require any assistance, then you can go through this following URL: http colon slash development, sorry, not development, it is developer slash android.com/guide. If you want to develop applications using this software development or tools and APIs, you can go through this particular guide so that it will help you to make the application or develop the application. Okay, this will act as a guide assistant for you. Okay, and next you need to keep it in your mind. Every Android application is a Java application. Okay, so that is about application development. If you want to develop the application, definitely you need to have SDK, that is called as a software development kit. What it consists of? It consists of tools and APIs. With the help of those tools and APIs, we can develop the applications. Okay, after developing the application, one has to test and debug the application. By using emulators, we can test and debug the application. So if you require any other assistance, you can go through the URL like http://developer/android.com/guide. Okay. And next, what you need to remember is every Android application is a Java application. Okay. So this is about application development, how we develop the application, and this is about how we run the application. So runtime environment. This is about application development. Okay. And next concept what we need to discuss is application structure. Okay. Coming to application structure, the applications of an Android platform capable of providing its services to other applications by sharing the elements. That means the Android application can share its services to the other applications by using the sharing concept. That means one application can share its services to the other applications. Okay. So in order to share these services to the other applications, the system initiates the requested application and the requested element in a process. That means, however, for example, application is intended for using the services. For example, there is one application, right? APP1. This is one application and this is second application. So one application can provide services to the other applications by using the concept called sharing. And this application can share its elements or services to this application 2. That means application 2 is willing to receive the services provided by the application 1. Okay. So this one is a requested application. Why? Because it is requesting the services from application 1. Okay. So this application 1 has to permit the services. Then only application 2 can access the services shared by application 1. Okay. The application consists of so many elements. In those, the first one is service element, and the next one is activity element, And the next one, content provider element. The last one, broadcast receiver element. So coming to service element, it can be defined. It can be defined as a task which runs in background for unlimited duration in presence of other elements, other activities. Or, for example, to take an example, so when we are playing a song, the song is continuously we are playing. So by playing the song, we can type here, right? So for example, if you want to download any of the song from the internet, so parallelly at the same time, I can type the information here. So the downloading is done is running in like in another process, and parallelly I am using paying like that. So the service element will run in the background for unlimited duration in the presence of other activities. That the second example is we are playing the music at the same time we can run the C programming. In the background the music will come at the same time in the foreground we are working with the another document. Okay, that is the best example for service element. Okay. And the second one is a activity element. So it is a visual interface. What a activity element? Activity element. Activity element is a visual user interface. Okay. So this consists of a view object. It consists of view object which specifies visual content corresponding to a window. Okay. So the window is of in the rectangle shape. What a window consists of? Is consists of visual content. Okay. And the next one is a content provider element. So I already told you one Android application can provide services to the another Android application. Okay. For example, one application want to give its services to the another application. One application is willing to share its services to the other application, then the application need to have an element to assist other applications to make use of data from their own application. Okay, so that is content provider element. So by using this content provider element, the application can provide its services to the other application. Okay, and the next one, broadcast receiver element. So what is a broadcast receiver element? So by using this, you can receive the broadcast messages and respond to them accordingly. So in order to receive the broadcast messages and in order to respond to those particular messages, broadcast receiver element will help us. Okay. So the typical responses may be including notifying the user, all initiating any activity, etc. All these are the responses, examples for the typical responses. Okay. This is about application structure. Okay. And the last one is application process management. Okay. So if you observe this particular life cycle, here we have a multiple number of steps. Once the activity is launched, please follow the cursor. Once the activity is launched, so then it will be calling on create hook. So once the on create hook is done, we'll go for the start. What is on start? So by calling the on start hook, it will initiate the activity. So once the activity is initiated, then what is on resume? On resume hook will deal with the, that means whenever you want to interacting with its user, then it is in the on resume state. That means here on start is for initiating the activity, whereas on resume is it will start responding with interacting with the user. And the activity is running now. Why? Because we are interacting with the user and all. So another activity comes into the foreground. While one activity is all going, another activity may be on the foreground. At that time, what will happen? We need to pass. So on pass, what is the purpose of on pass? It will stopping an activity for a temporary purpose. It will stop the current activity for a temporary purpose and resuming some other activity for completion. So whenever you are doing one activity and some other activity came onto the foreground, so automatically the previous one has to be passed. That means we temporarily suspend the process and will complete the execution of a foreground activity. Okay. So once the particular previous one, when it will happen, when it will happen. So for example, I already told you when we discuss about the process attributes, there is a high priority process and low priority process. For example, we are initiating the low priority process initially. So whenever the high priority process came into the foreground, automatically we need to suspend or we need to pass the low priority process and we need to give preference to the high priority process. Once the high priority process execution is over, then we need to resume. What is the meaning of resume? Where we stop earlier, where we suspended earlier, from there we need to start the activity. So that is called as on resume. So I repeat, on create means once the initialization of activity is done, then we need to go for a resume. On resume. On resume means interact one. It is the user is interacting. The user is interacting with the user is interacting with the activity. So while the activity is running, maybe a high priority process came into the foreground. Whenever the high priority process came into the foreground, so automatically the low priority process need to be suspended. That means on pause. Okay. The high priority process completes its execution. Again, the user returns to the activity. That means low priority activity. Okay. And the next one is what about on stop? On stop means activity being invisible to the user. The activity being invisible. That means the activity is finishing or being destroyed by the system. Once the activity is invisible, next we need to go for a destroy. Destroy means the activity being destroyed either manually or automatically by the system. So in order to destroy the activity, we'll go for on destroy. In order to stop the activity, we need to go for on stop. In order to temporarily suspend the process, we'll go for on pause. And next on start means in order to initiate the activity. Okay. Whenever one process is executing, then high priority process came into the foreground. Automatically, the low priority process need to be suspended or paused. Okay. Once the high priority process completes the execution, we need to give the priority to the low priority one. So previously where we suspend, from that place onwards, we need to continue. So that is the reason it is called as on resume. Okay. On stop means, so visually not there on the foreground. So if you want to reinitiate the same activity again, then we need to go for on restart. On restart means from the starting we need to initiate the, sorry, from the starting we need to activate the process. On resume means, for example, after doing some execution, if you suspend the process, later if you resume the process, it will continue from that particular point where we stopped earlier, where we suspended earlier. Okay? Whereas on restart means we need to do the activity from the starting point. That is called as on restart. On destroy means the activity will be destroyed either manually or automatically by the system. Okay. So this is about activity life cycle. Okay. So this is about application process management. Okay. So we have covered all these concepts under Android software platform. If you have any doubt, so let me know. Thank you. We'll share the document for you.